Like, he puts pressure on guys without throwing too many punches, and then starts to figure holes out, and the way he can explode and move in with one shot, my God.
Yeah, he very explosive. He's very explosive, man.
You see that truck, man? Wasn't for this music.
Work hard, sacrifices, discipline, time away from my family. How you gonna be?
To a guy, what's a guy to a non-believer who don't believe in?
You finna see the champ at his goddamn best of the best of the best of the best.
Will he make it out alive? Alright. I'm searching the why.
I promise you none of these niggas gonna beat me. None of them. I'm gonna make an example out of Tio. That's the only thing I love.
New York is a problem. Yes, sir. You don't put these two killers in the same bill. Woo!
This shadow boxing. 14 rounds all together.
Alright, when Shakur Stevenson comes up, one word keeps echoing from everyone who's truly watched him closely: dedication. And you don't just hear it, you feel it threaded through every layer of his game. It's there in the brutal grind of his camps, in the quiet hours, and in the surgical precision he unleashes once the fight begins. Even Joe Rogan, a man who's witnessed thousands of bouts and is rarely impressed, wasn't merely watching Shakur. He looked locked in, like he was observing someone operating on a different frequency. A fighter with eerie awareness, fully conscious of space and time inside the ring at every moment. This goes far beyond raw talent. It's the suffocating defense, the command of tempo, the conviction behind every step and strike. Everything points to one conclusion: Shakur hasn't just trained these skills, he's honed them mercilessly into something precise, controlled, dangerous, and built for total domination when pressure peaks hardest imaginable. There always.
In this field,
Yeah, to the end of the field,
not
right
to
there.
the cone.
Not to the cone, to the other side of the field, yes.
Okay.
To the end of the other side of the out of bound line. You play football. Come on, you play JV.
Then you come back to the
Looking
cone.
great. Breathing is good. He's handling the load good. Got a nice spring. He got a good spring and good push. Good first step. I like where we are. And we still got a mud, baby.
Now if you really dig into Rogan's breakdown, the tone shifts from analysis to something closer to awe. He doesn't just compliment Shakur, he lingers on him, especially when talking about his defense and the unusual way he structures his training and decision-making. The first thing Rogan locks onto, and he makes sure everyone hears it, is Shakur's use of the Philly shell. Not just using it, but executing it with a level of precision that instantly rang alarm bells in Rogan's mind. He flat out said he hasn't seen anyone control that defensive system like this since Floyd Mayweather Jr. and in boxing terms, that comparison is nuclear. That's not casual praise. That's placing someone in the shadow of one of the most untouchable defensive minds the sport has ever produced. But Rogan doesn't stop there. What really unsettles him is Shakur's composure. The calm. The way punches fly directly at his head and his face never changes, like the chaos doesn't even register. Rogan points to one specific fight where things took an unexpected turn. Shakur deliberately chose to stay in the pocket. His opponent was aggressive, relentless, trying to back him up, smother him, force him to move. Everyone expected Shakur to slide out, circle away, reset. Instead, he planted his feet and stayed. Rogan makes it clear this wasn't panic or hesitation. This was intentional. Shakur was making a statement. To critics. To fans. To the sport itself. He wasn't running. He was proving he could stand right in front of pressure, absorb it, read it, and still dictate everything that followed. That kind of confidence doesn't announce itself loudly. It waits, lets you swing, and then quietly takes control.
Shell since Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
His defense was incredible.
Yeah. Defense, and he stayed, and that guy was putting the guy from Golden Boy, I can't remember his name, who he fought, but was just a good fighter and was really pressuring him. And Shakur stayed in the pocket.
Yeah.
He stayed in the pocket.
He also said he's not
calling
going
him
to
a
fight that
runner
way
before.
anymore.
He's not a runner, yeah.
But he said after that fight, I'm not going to fight that way anymore. He said I took too many shots.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he wanted to like put on a show and show everybody he's not just a runner. He could stand in the pocket. Right. Then he's like, why am I doing this? I'll box.
And you know what? When you really sit with it, that idea doesn't just sound right, it locks into place. Once you peel everything back and trace his pedigree from the very beginning, it becomes impossible to argue. This isn't a case of a talented fighter getting caught up in hype or momentum. This is someone who has already been tested long before the spotlight ever followed him. A legitimate medalist. A fighter who didn't just survive on the international stage, but proved he belonged there, earned his place there, before ever stepping into the professional ranks. That matters more than people like to admit. Because medals don't come from potential, they come from execution under pressure, against the best available opposition. And when you stack that kind of background next to what he's doing now, everything starts to make sense. The calm, the precision, the confidence that never feels forced. It all traces back to years of proving himself when the stakes were already sky high. So when people try to frame this as hype, it falls flat. There's nothing speculative about it. This isn't projection. It's confirmation. The resume supports it. The performances reinforce it. The skill level leaves no room for debate. At some point, the conversation stops being about whether he's good and shifts to how high the ceiling actually is. Because fighters with this kind of foundation don't fade quietly. They arrive early, they adjust faster, and they force the world to catch up. Call it whatever you want, but the truth is simple. He isn't just good. He's already operating at an elite level, whether everyone is ready to admit it or not.
Yeah. And just one of the best, like, it's, as far as skill.
What do you think of Crawford?
Now the focus shifts, and suddenly the stakes feel sharper. When it comes to this upcoming showdown, Shakur didn't leave any room for confusion. This fight with Teofimo Lopez wasn't the result of bad timing or limited options. It wasn't a convenient name pulled from a short list. This was intentional from the start. Shakur chose Teofimo, and he did it with full awareness of what that choice carried. He isn't chasing comfort or safe paths. He's chasing friction. He's chasing the kind of opponent that forces uncomfortable questions. And he knows exactly what Teofimo represents. An elite fighter with real accomplishments. A resume built at the highest level. A man who can hurt you if you hesitate for even a moment. That danger isn't a deterrent for Shakur, it's the attraction. That blend of skill, experience, and volatility is precisely what drew him in. He doesn't see this as a fight where he hopes things go his way. He believes, fully, that he will win. But winning alone isn't the finish line here. He understands this matchup will demand more from him than anything before it. More discipline. More patience. More mental sharpness under fire. He sees it as a necessary collision, one that forces evolution whether you're ready or not. For Shakur, stepping into the ring isn't just about adding another name to a record. It's about pressure revealing truth. It's about testing himself against someone capable of taking it all away. And that risk, that edge, is exactly why this fight exists in the first place.
I set this fight up, and I honestly did it because I wanted to push myself. I know that Teo is a tremendous fighter. I know he's on an extremely high level. And I feel like, well, I know that I can beat him, but I know that this should be a tough test, so I'm ready.
Who were some of the other options you had?
Lamont Roach.
That would have been a real good fight, man. But I mean, Teo, he's a bigger name though, so I see why you went with him.
Yeah, bigger name, and also he got the more accolades. He's been undisputed before. He's won belts at 35, won belts at 30, at 40. So he's more accomplished. So I know that would be a better name on my resume.
Yeah, a lot of people saying that this is gonna be a tough fight for you.
I mean, they absolutely right to have their opinion. I already know this guy's good. I done came up in the amateurs with him. I chose this for that reason. Like, I chose this because I wanted to challenge myself. I wanted to put myself in a situation to where I'm able to raise my game up to another level. So that was my whole purpose.
And when you start talking about mindset, This is where Shakur Stevenson separates himself in a way that feels almost clinical. He doesn't approach fights emotionally or impulsively. There's a precision to it, a philosophy he applies no matter who's standing across from him. He's been clear about it. His goal isn't to edge out wins or rely on opinions once the bell rings. He wants to dominate so thoroughly that the judges might as well put their pens down. Sit with that for a moment. He's chasing a kind of control where scorecards don't matter, where the outcome is obvious long before the final round fades out. No close margins. No rounds that swing on interpretation. No debates that drag on afterward about who really won. He doesn't want suspense left to the officials. He wants it crushed inside the ring. From the opening exchange to the last second on the clock, he's chasing complete authority, the feeling that everything is moving at his pace and only his pace. And that intensity doesn't come from hype or momentary pressure. It's fueled by something deeper, something that never shuts off. There's always a chip on his shoulder, always a sense that he has something to prove, even when the accolades are already there. That edge doesn't switch on for marquee names or big nights. It's permanent. It's baked into how he trains, how he thinks, how he fights. That constant inner tension keeps him chasing perfection, not because anyone demands it, but because anything less feels unfinished to him.
Do you feel like you got to be real dominant in this fight? Because, I mean, Tio, he from New York, and, you know, you having a fight in New York, and the judges, man. You never know, yo.
He not from New York, but he not from New York. He not from New York. He probably was born in New York, but like being from New York is like I'm raised and I'm brought up in New York, and I known him for years and years, and I always seen him out of Florida. Like that's where he was out of, Florida. So I don't look at him like a fighter that's from New York. So, but do I gotta be dominant? I think every fight that I set up, I want to be dominant. I don't care who in front of me. I want to dominate. I want to beat you to where judges don't feel like they can rob me. So I always got that feeling. I always got that chip on my shoulder.
It's not just about what unfolds once the ropes close in, and Shakur Stevenson doesn't pretend otherwise. He's been unusually open about how he views Teofimo Lopez outside the ring, and he doesn't soften the edges of that opinion. In Shakur's eyes, a lot of what Teofimo does has very little to do with competition and a lot to do with attention. He sees the antics, the noise, the moments that feel intentionally provocative, sometimes even crossing lines just to keep his name circulating, just to stay anchored in headlines and conversations. But here's where Shakur's perspective takes a darker turn. He genuinely believes that kind of behavior has a cost. That the constant hunger for validation, the theatrics, the self-created chaos, eventually show up at the worst possible moment. Right when the lights are brightest. Right when there's nowhere left to hide. To Shakur, all of that pre-fight theater is meaningless currency. The trash talk, the posturing, the media storms. None of it shifts the reality that waits inside the ring. It doesn't land punches. It doesn't save you when pressure closes in. He sees January 31st not as a date, but as an unavoidable checkpoint. A moment where talking expires. Where speculation collapses under reality. Where every narrative either survives or dies. In his mind, that night strips everything down to truth. No cameras to play to. No quotes to lean on. Just two fighters, consequences, and a square circle that settles things without caring who talked the loudest beforehand.
If you do win this fight, what do you think it does for your career?
I think it put me top 5 pound for pound. I think it puts me like one of the best fighters in my era. I think it just established that I'm that guy. Like, I beat one of the 4 kings that they call the 4 kings, and it also depends on the fashion that I do it. So, it's gonna be interesting.
But what be going on with this Tio dude though, man? I be seeing these videos online of him making racist comments. You be seeing that, man?
I think he's an attention seeker. So even with the racist comments, even with the homo stuff that he was doing, I think he's just a big attention seeker. He gonna do anything to get attention on him, and
But Teofimo, predictably, wasn't going to let that narrative breathe unchecked. He wasn't about to stay silent while questions swirled about his power fading, especially at the 40-pound weight class, and he pushed back hard. He flatly rejected the idea that his knockout threat has diminished, and what made his response interesting wasn't the denial, but the logic behind it. In his view, the story people are telling has the cause and effect completely backwards. Teofimo argues that opponents feel his power early, sometimes within the first exchanges, and that initial contact quietly rewrites the rest of the fight. It doesn't always end things immediately, but it changes everything that follows. Fighters hesitate. They pause just long enough to second guess. They stop committing to their original plan. That hesitation, he explains, is why the fights may look less explosive on the surface. He's not missing opportunities. Those opportunities are being taken away. Opponents stop giving clean looks. They shell up. They move more. They prioritize survival over offense. Teofimo points out that his recent opponents haven't been reckless or aggressive. They've been careful, guarded, almost overly respectful. And to him, that's the tell. That caution isn't accidental. It's a reaction. In his mind, their defensive instincts are the proof everyone is overlooking. The power hasn't vanished. It's already done its job before the highlight even has a chance to happen. It forces fear. It dictates behavior. It turns confident fighters into cautious ones. And that, Teofimo insists, is power in its most dangerous form. Not just physical damage, but a psychological threat that shapes the fight long before the final bell.
Moving up to 140, a lot of these guys could say a lot of things about me not knocking them out or whatnot, but they don't come and try to fight me after they feel this power. So it's for a reason. It carries. It does carry. I mean, I had a good showing with Arnold Barboza. He was #1, my mandatory, and he was too hesitant trying to commit to punches. So I think that it's just something that's going to be a rude awakening for.
And this is where Teofimo quietly exposed something deeper about who he really is. When the conversation drifted toward Shakur being labeled the heavy favorite, he didn't bristle or push back defensively. He almost smiled. Not nervously, not sarcastically, but like someone who recognized familiar ground. Teofimo genuinely enjoys being the underdog. He leaned into it, saying outright that this is the space where he performs best, when expectations tilt against him and the room assumes he's already a step behind. He didn't say it like bravado either. He treated it like a pattern he's lived through before. He started pulling moments from his career, reminding everyone of those nights when experts said he wasn't ready, when fans questioned his discipline, when critics claimed his career was spiraling too fast to survive a real test. Those warnings were loud back then. And yet, time after time, those were the exact moments when he delivered his sharpest, most dangerous performances. The pressure didn't break him. It sharpened him. Being doubted isn't foreign to Teofimo Lopez. It's familiar. Comfortable, even. He doesn't feel crushed when people count him out. He feels activated. That skepticism flips a switch in him. It strips away comfort, strips away hesitation, and leaves only intent. He takes that doubt and converts it into energy, into focus, into something volatile. That's the part people tend to overlook. Because when Teofimo stops trying to convince anyone and starts fighting from that place, he doesn't just rise to the moment. He becomes unpredictable. And unpredictability, especially when fueled by belief in history, is what makes him far more dangerous than the odds suggest.
With that, I think this is a very tough fight to pick. But for you, right, it seems like every time the odds are stacked against you, every time people are picking against you, whether it's the Lomachenko fight, people said it was too soon for you, or the Josh Taylor fight, when there seemed to be chaos swirling around you in your personal life, and that was one of your best performances. Do you like this position?
That I'm someone that, is all about against all odds. I've been like that since me winning the 2015 U.S. Olympic trials and didn't, have my spot for the Olympic berth and to represent Team USA in 2016 Olympic Games. I think my whole thing's always been that way, so even Richard Comey, when I won my first world title back in 2019 at 22 against the champion himself, a lot of the odds were always against me, and I think that's when I perform my best, and I look forward to doing that.
Teofimo Lopez showed another side of himself when the conversation drifted into what many see as a touchy subject in boxing, the whole idea of friendships, alliances, and familiar faces in corners, especially with Terence Crawford being spotted alongside Shakur Stevenson. Instead of reacting with irritation or turning it into a soundbite-fueled argument, Teofimo barely flinched. He dismissed it with a calm that felt intentional, almost dismissive, like it simply wasn't worth emotional energy. His reasoning was blunt and unapologetic. At the end of the day, no one walks into that ring to fight for Shakur except Shakur himself. No friend. No mentor. No respected name standing behind him on fight night. Teofimo made it clear he doesn't buy into the idea of alliances or group loyalty meaning anything once the bell rings. In his world, there are no runs, no safety nets, no borrowed confidence. Boxing, to him, strips everything down to the individual. It's not a team sport dressed up as one. It's a lonely test by design. You prepare alone, you bleed alone, and when the moment arrives, it's just you, your decisions, and the consequences that come with them. That's how he sees it. No distractions. No narratives about who's backing who. Just two fighters, exposed under the lights, forced to prove exactly what they are made of. For Teofimo, that isolation isn't something to fear. It's the entire point. It's where truth lives. It's where excuses disappear. And it's where he believes real fighters are revealed, standing alone with nowhere to hide and nothing to lean on except their own skill, resolve, and willingness to take what they want.